Alaska and Russia giving or basically selling Alaska to America, because this story begins in the mid 19th century with an empire overstretched and bleeding money. See, Imperial Russia by the 1850s, Russia was struggling with wars in Europe, mostly the Crimean War. Crimea pops up again. 1853 to 1856, which drained its finances and exposed the vulnerability of its far-flung colonies. Alaska, or Russian America, was vast but remote. Frozen for most of the year and costly to defend it, Russia feared that if another war broke out, especially with its rising rival, Great Britain, it might lose Alaska by force without a single ruble in return. So Tsar Alexander II made a decision that seemed strategic at the time: better to sell Alaska than lose it for nothing. See, this was a brokering deal that they had. So they're going to get something for Russia, or they may just lose it in the war to Great Britain. And meanwhile, the United States of America was on the hunt for expansion. We were always trying to expand our lands. That is just the way that colonial powers work. They're always trying to expand their land. That is one of the reasons why Donald Trump is taking back the Panama Canal. Now it's the American Canal. The Gulf of Mexico is now the Gulf of America. We're expanding our territories very easily. Now, fresh from the Civil War between 1861 and 1865, America was actually bruised, but we were very, very ambitious. And Secretary of State at the time, William H. Seward, saw that the potential of Alaska as both a shield against European influence and a treasure chest of untapped resources. Now, granted, Russia wanted something for these resources, 7.2 million. In 1867, negotiations between Russian Minister Edward Del Stockel and Seward sealed the deal, and the United States purchased Alaska again for 7.2 million, a price marked by critics basically calling it the icebox. And to skeptics, America had just bought an endless sheet of frozen tundra, but to visionaries, it was a master stroke because they believed that there was great resources on Alaska, and especially we called Alaska the last frontier. So why did Russia sell? Alaska was undefendable against Britain's naval power from nearby Canada. Do not forget, Canada, Australia, still a lot of countries within the Caribbean, they're under British rule in some regards. Even though they have their own prime ministers, they have their own governments, they still have to bow down to the Queen of England. Now, also, Russia needed cash after the Crimean War, and that the empire wanted to consolidate power at home, not hold distant, icy colonies that wasn't even collected to the land. Again, as I told you, I believe that Alaska is closer to America than it is to Russia. Now, a lot of people believe that this sale was about money. According to Russia, it wasn't about money. It was about survival. It was about strategy and shifting global balance. They say, well, this land is under our rule. We can potentially sell it to the Americans. They will have to defend the land if they were ever get into war again with Great Britain, Canada, etc. But we can at least get some money from it, and this can help our efforts. So again, if you look at the critics of the 1867, during that time, they were silenced when Alaska revealed its true worth. If you look at the gold rush of 1896, Alaska became a magnet for fortune seekers, and the discovery of petroleum in the Prudhoe Bay turned Alaska into one of the U.S. energy powerhouses. A lot of our energy and oil reserves are in Alaska. Alaska's position made it America's northern shield against Japanese forces in World War II and Soviet bombers during the Cold War, the same land that they sold to us. What Russia saw as a burden, America transformed it into a golden frontier of wealth, power, and defense. It was very strategic to us. And we saw that. So when they came and they tried to broker this deal, we were like, yeah, 7.2 million. How would you like that? They said, indeed, we're going to sell it. So today, Alaska remains a reminder of geopolitical foresight versus short-sightedness because the U.S. gained 586,000 square miles of land at just 2 cents per acre. Lord have mercy. 586,000 square miles of land. And if you do the math, that's just 2 cents per acre. I only need 10 acre, folks, at 2 cents. So Russia, now seeking to project power in the Arctic, looks back at the sale with a mix of regret and historical irony. And that's why a lot of these countries are in Antarctica. They're really looking for resources. And there's a lot of conspiracy theories around it. There's aliens in in Antarctica. There's crash spaceships from other worlds in Antarctica. That's why a normal person, a regular human being, no matter what country you're from, can't just travel to Antarctica. You got to get permission and you got to go through a lot of bureaucratic international red tape, etc. This is a lot of historical irony when I look at this deal that we made with Russia in the attainment of Alaska, because this deal often compared to China's Belt and Road missteps of America's Iraqi war cause, as we look at the contrasting correlations of these two. And this is a lesson that what looks foolish in the moment may be a strategic victory for centuries when it comes to the deal that we made. Now, if Russia held onto Alaska, imagine today's world: Moscow controlling vast Arctic oil reserves, direct borders with Canada, and a stronger hand in global energy politics. Instead, it became one of America's greatest bargains in history. To this day, you got to go through Canada to get to Alaska and or take a ferry from Washington to Alaska. That's why when you are, if you've ever been to Alaska, they're like, oh, in the lower 48. Because again, majority of the U.S., excluding its territories, are combined, with the exception of Alaska and Hawaii. So when we look at history and how Russia sold Alaska to America and how Russia gave Crimea to the Ukrainians, the only question I have: who really owns Crimea?